You can now get prison time for misgendering a rapist. And that's a real thing in a civilized, supposedly, Western country such as Britain.
Well, I mean,
so
yeah.
I want to give a big shout out first to the EDI Jester, who's a chap I met at the Ideas Festival on Saturday. Great guy. He forwarded me this story. So if we go to the next one, we have the story itself. And it's women face punishment for using wrong pronouns in prison. So if you're in prison as a woman, and let's say you, my good sir, decide to become a rapist, and then you are in the court and you decide, actually, I'm a woman, and then you go to the female prison to presumably continue doing what they were doing because they're a rapist, right?
Yeah.
And then the woman in there misgenders the rapist. They're the one in trouble, not the rapist.
I'm the victim of them misgendering.
Yes, the rapist in the question is the victim. So anyway, here's the story. Women prisoners who call transgender prisoners by the wrong pronoun could be punished with time added onto their sentence, the government has warned. Deliberately referring to trans women as he or him may be treated as breaching prison rule against, quote, using threatening, abusive, or insulting words or behavior.
Right.
And could be brought before an independent adjudicator, a visiting judge, who has the power to award added days.
Okay. Yep.
Fantastic.
Keep those women in line.
They're gonna be in prison more. Why? Because some
they were insulting the rapist.
Male rapist turns up and is like, "Hey, I'm a woman." Gets put in the female prison, and the female prisoners who insult him are given time.
No, Callum, insult her.
Oh, sorry. Terribly sorry. It's good I don't have a prison sentence, so that would have just gone up 10 foot. Anyway, so the threat will fuel a debate over policy of holding male to female transgender prisoners in women's jails. In 2019, there were 34 transgender women who were still legally male detained at 12 women's prisons in England and Wales. Now, you may remember the story about Karen White, and the solution that was coming out of the government at the time was to set up a third system of prisons. Let's put it that way. Hasn't come through yet.
They should have called them non-binary prisons.
Yeah. Or just gender non-conforming prisons.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
I mean, that would have easily allowed them to fly under the progressive radar.
So the punishments warning was sounded by Justice Minister Lord Wolfen of Trendgare QC, who said incidents where a prisoner uses incorrect pronouns for another prisoner will be considered on a case-by-case basis.
Oh, we can't get a rule for this.
No.
Right, okay.
In line with the prisoner discipline procedures policy and the prison rules.
Yeah.
Quote, prisoners may sometimes make an honest mistake. As if that, yeah, okay, that's the... So this is what they're going to do.
Fair.
They're going to make the decision about whether or not you are honestly misgendering me or not.
I mean, you could say, well, I was in a woman's prison, therefore I must be a woman.
That's an argument.
Well,
So-
that's logically sound.
They will make an assessment as to whether there's an honest mistake in relation to pronouns, and disciplinary action would not usually be appropriate in such circumstances. However, if an officer deems it appropriate to place a prisoner on report, the rules against using threatening, abusive, blah, blah, blah behavior may apply. The adjudicator will weigh in on each incident on its own merits. The policy stipulates that an offence motivated by another person's protected characteristics under the Equality Act is an aggravating factor and may merit referral to an independent adjudicator. Official guidelines state that disciplinary procedures are normally held by the prison governor and are only referred to the independent adjudicator if there was a possibility of days being added to the sentence, which is the most severe punishment possible. So yes, there is a direct line between being misgendered and the person who misgendered you getting days added.
This is all taxpayer money being used on this.
Oh, that's according to the state as well.
Yeah.
I met the lady who, I don't know if she wants to mention her name or not, so I won't. But she managed to get that in front of Boris, she told me. And Boris's response was, I can't believe this is happening. And she just sat back like, there is no excuse for being this ignorant on this kind of level anymore.
No. This nonsense is everywhere and it has to be dealt with.
Yeah. So they continue on this, and Lord Wolfen says the Ministry of Justice and Her Majesty's Prison and Probation Services are committed to advancing equality, eliminating discrimination, harassment, and victimization based on someone's religion, belief, gender, reassignment status, blah, 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 blah.
So the Ministry of Justice is a communist institution.
They are applying the law as written by Tony Blair.
Advancing equality.
Yep, that's Tony Blair's initiatives that the Conservatives have never gotten rid of.
Nope,
Still
which
haven't.
they should.
Which is now
Tomorrow.
leading to the logical conclusion that if you are misgendered as a woman in prison, and you're totally a woman, you swear, the person who does it, they get prison time added to their sentence. So I love how it's also compelled speech.
But I love how this is also, well, I don't love, but like, it's amusing as well. This is also victimizing women as well. It's only women who are going to be suffering from this.
I don't think there are many trans men in male prisons.
But why would the transgender prisoners misgender each other? Like they're there because they all buy into the ideology. Therefore, they're not going to be like, well, yeah, I'm a woman, but that's a man.
But
It's a class solidarity that's going to form in women's prisons.
The conversation going on, we're talking about prisoners, like people who are in prison, right? These are not good people. They are bad people. That's why we put them in prison. Anyway, so we go to the next one here. There's just John listed here. So up to half of trans inmates may be sex offenders.
Wow.
This was an example. The lady here, I believe, is in the thumbnail for this podcast on the website. So it's completely messed up. For anyone asking how a woman is convicted of rape, which the law requires the use of a penis, the answer is Artyom. Previously known as David, was a man. When she pinned down a 15-year-old victim in Portsmouth garage, she still has her male genitalia. The trial of Artyom expressed a wish to serve her time in a woman's prison. Now, a proposed change in the law makes that desire a real prospect. And as mentioned, many had moved in there.
It's so progressive.
One example of the kind of person that would get your prison sentence made bigger because you dared to misgender that rapist and pedo. And if we go to the next one, we have Karen White.
What exactly is the cry for help going to be? Help! She's raping me with her female penis. Dear prison guards, come quick.
Yes. And if you said he's raping me, then that's also days added for you.
Yeah.
Because you dared to misgender the
Unbelievable.
sex offender.
So leftism, getting more black people shot and getting more women raped.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I'm not surprised by they call it progress. It's definitely not. So trans inmate jailed for Wakefield prison sex offences is Karen White.
Well, I mean, it is a certain kind of progress, but it's not the kind I want.
The lady I mentioned previously.
Sorry, yes, go on. Don't you dare misgender.
A transgender prisoner who sexually assaulted 2 inmates at a women's jail and had previously raped 2 other women has been given a life sentence. So this is someone who's a man and then was like, no, bro, I'm a woman. So they put them in the female prison and then, well, she sexually assaulted the women.
With her female penis.
What a shock. I mean, who could have seen this coming? I'm utterly dumbfounded. And this is what has led to the government proposing that we have a third prison system.
Yep.
If you could scroll down on this, we can see Karen in her pre-op situation. Yeah. So White, 52, who is transitioning, was described as a predator who is a danger to women and children. So this is not, of course, the talk of all people who identify as trans, but it is the reality of the prison system that if you put men who believe there are women who are being convicted of rape in a female prison full of biologically female inmates, what did you think was going to happen? And
certainly not rape.
Worse yet, if the female inmates decide to, let's say, rebel by misgendering the trans rapist,
then they get punished.
They get days added to their sentence. Fantastic. This is a wonderful system. I'm so glad that leftism has taken over Britain and the Conservative Party, as they have not got rid of this. Anyway, moving on. So we go to some other stuff on this that I thought was of interest. I love this. I mean, this is the level of conversation we have in the UK. It's a headline in the Telegraph. Pregnancy charity will refer to women.
Oh, and I like the way this is. A pregnancy charity has rejected pressure to stop using the word women to make the services trans-friendly.
Pregnancy. Trans women can't get pregnant.
Nope.
Not possible. But okay, they need to change their surfaces.
Don't have cervixes, you see.
They continued in here. The defense is actually rather pathetic. I didn't like that they didn't just make the obvious point that you can't get pregnant. They said instead the British Pregnancy Advice Service is believed to be the first major organisation to publicly state it will not remove gendered language.
Oh, thank God.
Arguing that
someone has done that.
Arguing that it is harder to fight sexism if it cannot clearly articulate it is predominantly women who are impacted.
Oh, well, there we go. For progressive reasons.
Idiots. No, that is not the reason you should not destroy your own language. It is because the people you're dealing with obviously can't get pregnant.
Yep.
And many would argue that makes them not a woman. But that's an argument that is on the wall. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we move to the next one. I have some other good stuff around all of these things. So if we have, remember Ben Hunt? Remember him? The guy who tried to smear Kevin Badenoch because that is his job as a smear merchant.
Doesn't he work for like the Huffington Post or something?
Vice. He's ex-BBC, right. Because that was easy.
Yeah, weird, isn't it? The BBC to extreme leftism pipeline.
Yeah, I thought I'd have some good news at least on this. So I clap for the Conservatives on this small point, which is the BBC is expected to quit Stonewall's LGBTQ diversity program.
Yeah, but is it because Stonewall is insufficiently diverse? Like, I mean, I don't know. Like,
it's because there's a waste of money.
Well, that's true, but like that's a cop out though, because the argument will be, well, if we weren't a waste of money, you'd do it, wouldn't you? And the Conservatives would be like, that's right.
all
I'm
leftism
progressive.
is a waste of money.
Of course
So-
it is. But like the point is they're not doing it because it's wrong. They're doing it because they just think it's an inappropriate use of funds.
Yeah, I love the response from him here. So he apparently interviewed some of his comrades back in the institution he used to work for. And he has a quote, LGBT staff at the BBC told me they are super scared by the implications of the decision and they hope managers will change their minds.
Super scared.
So Stonewall provided advice on which bathrooms people should use and what kind of pronouns you should use
And presumably armed guards as well.
for a hefty fee. And then BBC's like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And yeah, that's made everyone super scared about what's going to happen.
But what they think's going to happen?
I don't know.
Like-
Presumably gay people are all going to get fired.
Yeah.
Start bullying people who are women in there. I don't know.
Rampant misgendering.
Yeah, he's going to go back to, like, I don't know, the 30s or something for the
Yeah.
BBC. Anyway, moving on from this. So we got the next one. I found this rather interesting. So you can see stop funding hate. Verified check mark. It's time for an honest debate about the scale of the institutional transphobia at the BBC. Same time.
Who funds them?
I don't know. But this
Yeah.
was in response to them pulling out of Stonewall. And it's Pink News again being mad. I love that. Just infighting from leftists. It's always great to see. And I enjoy it. Yeah. But also, I wanted to mention all of this stuff. So the stuff of the fight back here and the fight back that will presumably come in the prisons as well does come from the TERFs. This is kind of embarrassing to admit, but it is not conservatives who have won these arguments.
Yeah, but it's because no one cares about the Conservatives and their position on this.
No.
The Conservatives have totally ceded the field, and the only people who are allowed to have a voice are women.
Yeah. So the other point being that women seem to be better at getting political capital for their causes as well.
Yeah.
So if we go to the next one here, you have the TERFs never sleeping and going after some signs here. So this is some guy, verified check mark. Within my lifetime, LGBT people had to hide from their employers or faced being bullied and sacked. We finally made enough progress to have big employers proudly supporting Pride, and what happens? They get vandalized with transphobic stickers. It's just unfathomably sad. And if you can click on the first image here, he's talking about the racial pride flag that specifically here Halifax decided to use. So bank. I don't know why everyone's forgotten about 2008. I thought these people were wankers, but okay. You can see the segregated black and brown stripes there, and then the TERFs never sleeping because they're just trying to go and be like, nah.
I mean, honestly,
not my watch.
I'm loving it. you know.
I found it very interesting.
Trans women are men, and most of them have a penis.
Yeah,
So,
you can just scroll through just so we can see like the various different stickers. That's all it takes. That's all it takes.
That's not even like if they were saying something that was genuinely like hateful, I'd understand.
No, they're not. So, anyway. So let's go to the last thing on here, which I found I wanted to tack on because I just thought it was really funny. And we're going to have a lovely story of what happens when you tell these children, specific child in this case, no. It's that simple. All you have to do is say new, and they can get stuffed. And that's all it takes.
And you could have done that on day one.
Yes, with any of this. And specifically the prisons being, of course, the worst one. So this chap, Jordan, got a male name.
Judixon Bennett.
Judixon?
Yeah,
I don't
look at their Twitter ad. Jord XN Bennett.
I suppose Jordan,
Judixon.
some people call women Jordan. I don't know why. It's a boy's name, but whatever. Anyway, so this person wrote a story and they thought they'd get sympathy. And like the University of Sussex people who then realized, crap, no one likes us and had to hide their tweets. He hasn't yet. So I thought we'd just go through it because it's an interesting story. Okay, so I had the most disgusting, invalidating experience at Heaven Nightclub last night.
Okay, hang on a second. I don't care if you've had an invalidating experience.
No.
I just don't care. Like, you know, when I like, if I were to pretend to be a unicorn and people didn't validate it, I would be disgustingly invalidated by this standard.
Yeah.
But people would be like, yeah, but you're mental. I'd be like, well, that's true.
As noted, we are also talking about Heaven Nightclub.
As in, okay, yeah.
It's a queer outlet.
Yeah.
A place where I am meant to feel free and accepted.
Says who?
Queuing to enter the club, it splits into two lines. Men and women.
Dun, dun, dun.
To be checked by separate people. So they're checking
Right.
bags or whatever.
But it's going to be men checking men and women checking women, isn't it?
Yes, because that's the law.
Yes.
That's how you're meant to do these things.
Because feminists asked for this.
Yeah, this chap, I am non-binary, so of course I'm going to queue in the women's line in sheer protest of where I know they would expect me to queue based on my appearance.
Oh, there we go. You did this to yourself, didn't you?
I love how he's admitting that this is dumb.
I
Like,
did this to myself. I'm so angry. It's literally the stick and the spokes meme.
yeah, I can't get over the non-binary argument at all. I don't buy it for a second. I'm in agreement with Douglas Murray on this, that it just seems to be
Oh, yeah.
coming out as look at me.
Yep.
But the thing here being like, yeah, I'm a non-binary, but I look like a man. It's like, what? Like trans women make the effort to try and look like a woman.
Yeah, think about how you're presenting, Jordan.
Like, if you're making the effort to do nothing and instead you just look like a man. I mean, I love Leo's quote on this. Like, if someone else is having to do more work in your transition than you are, no one's going to take you seriously.
It's not fair, is it?
No. Anyway, so he says he looks like a man, and he was expecting him to be in the man's queue, and he was like, "No, I'm going in the women's queue." There's all these women around him being like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" Anyway, so he continues. Don't
worry, ladies, he's non-binary.
Yeah, I wait to be checked nervously, and then one of the security staff rudely gestures to me to go to the other line for men. I then kindly tell him that I am non-binary. Whilst highlighting the pronouns on my earrings, which say they, them.
I can't believe he didn't take you seriously.
Could you imagine being the door guy who knows nothing about politics, doesn't care, just, you're just marking the door.
North FC doorman's like, don't care, simple as.
And some bloke comes up to you just like, well, my earrings, they say they, them. What? They carried on refusing me access, because you're in the women's line, repeatedly saying this side was for women only.
But the thing is, Jordan is not even claiming to be a woman.
No.
He's saying, well, I'm non-binary. Well, that's the women's line. Don't use it.
You're not for that one either. Anyway, so I shamefully walk to the other side. I love that. It's literally like virgin walk. She's like, oh, no, I lost. No one takes me seriously. So weirdly, my earrings didn't convince him. Big shock. The two distinctly separate box-like detectors for each queue added to the prison-like atmosphere. I felt invalidated and embarrassed.
Prison-like atmosphere?
Having to queue in the men's section because you're a man.
God.
How
it's just like being in prison.
Yeah. As a place that hangs the pride flag on every wall, invites non-binary performers every week to perform, and calls themselves a queer venue, this is anything but a queer venue. Oh, well. And then I love he ends it with, heaven is not and never will be a queer venue. I'm appalled.
Okay.
Certainly won't. And I thought that was amazing because it gives you a specific example of just say no. Just no. I don't care what your earrings say. You're clearly a bloke. Get in the bloke line. Enough of it.
Well, I mean, at the very least, if you're going to say I'm a woman, say I'm a woman. But don't say I'm not a woman or a man and then sit in the woman's line and expect to be in the line that's only for women.
Nor make any attempt to look like a woman.
Yeah.
Nor do anything of the sort.
Yeah. I'm not a woman. I don't look like a woman and I don't call myself a woman. Why can't I stand in the women's line? Well, I think I've figured it out, Jordan.
I mean, I've had a big think.
Yeah.
Me and the boys have got the math books out.
Yeah, after enough, like, looking around, like, It's because you're not a woman.
Yeah.
Idiot.
Anyway, there's a lesson from Jordan, and presumably a lesson directly to the Ministry of Justice, which is sort yourselves out, the hell's wrong with you. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can catch the full podcast at 1 p.m. every weekday UK time at lotuseaters.com. You can also sign up at lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, that's how we keep this whole operation running. And recently we've put up loads of great stuff, such as this interview with legendary comedian Steve Hughes, one of my personal favourite comedians, so it was a real honour to be able to meet him. But one thing that I didn't expect, that he would be such a deep thinker, and this podcast is genuinely like a meeting of minds in a way. He was right on my wavelength on a bunch of things and helped me actually connect a bunch of dots, but I'm not going to carry on and spoil it. We also, of course, have lots of interesting articles that have been written, such as this one by Josh about the dumbest country on earth. And for for silver tier subscribers, we also include a link, so it's we have an audio reading of it from a chap called Jonathan, who has a very smooth voice that you will enjoy. And this is great because often I don't have time to read all of the articles that we put up, because we've put up a lot of regular content. And so this saves me the hassle of having to read it myself. So I really actually am very appreciative of this feature on a personal level. But we also do the Contemplations and Epochs, which are just interesting podcasts about interesting things. These are regular weekly podcasts. So this one is one of our writers, Josh, he's got a master's degree in psychology, talking about theories of intelligence and how they matter. And of course, we've got the Epochs, where myself and Bo, or in this case it was Josh and Bo, talking about the life of Sir Francis Drake. So that's 2 solid hours talking about England's most notorious adventurer. But we've also got lots and lots of other ones. This is number 21, so there's a good back catalogue there. And finally, we have our book clubs, and this is the part that I'm most proud of. Recently, we've done Shooting an Elephant by George Orwell, and
Reflections on a Ravaged Century by Robert Conquest.
Yeah, Robert Conquest is fantastic. Just if you want Western chauvinist historian, he's your man.
Anti-socialism.
Yes, in all forms, it's fantastic. And like I said, that's what keeps the podcast running. So if you want to become a member, thank you very much, and we think there's some great stuff you'll enjoy.